man.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good.
It's been a whole ass month.
All around it. The whole thing. Just,
I don't know why, but it's been a month since we had an episode.
yeah. Well, we've been very...
What happened? What's been going on this last month that has kept us from recording a show?
Well, we launched a pedal. That caused us to be very busy.
It was a brand new pedal.
The Fates.
Right? The Fates. We have it in here so we can show it off again.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to sell some pedals. There it is right there. The Fates. Looking good. All right, everybody that has one, I hope you like it. Everyone that doesn't have one, get one.
Get one.
There you go.
And then I had to go to Alabama.
Alabama.
And then
Yeah.
we went to Chicago.
We did. Boutique Pedal Showcase.
Boutique Effects Pedal
Yes.
Showcase.
Yes. A lot of mouth. a lot of mouth. Oh my God.
Man.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
But
Everything's
it was a good time. We got to see a lot of friends and
great. Yeah.
played some cool stuff.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of snacks.
Lots of snacks. Yeah, we put out an APB for anybody
We did.
that came to the show to bring us snacks, and we'd give you a special little surprise.
Yeah.
And man, we got some snacks.
We got a lot of snacks. We brought a lot of snacks because I always bring a lot of snacks.
Yeah, we had a whole box full.
And then we got a lot more, so we were just handing them
We had
out.
a whole
at the
car
end.
full.
I'm still eating snacks from that.
We still have the Cheez-Its.
Yeah, we do. We'll try our best to eat them all, but man, people loaded us up.
Yeah, and thank you to anybody who's listening who brought us snacks.
Yes.
And we'll keep this tradition going, mainly because all the other pedal builders were looking around like, who are
What
these
is going
guys?
on? And then we got to hand out snacks to people,
That's
which
right.
was really nice.
Yeah.
And then what else? We had to make all the Joey pedals.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So all the upcoming Brothers Landreth shows, they're going to have High Roads and Mjolnirs at the merch booth.
Yeah.
So we're not selling any direct. I think they're going to take a few to sell on their merch store. But yeah, if you want one, go buy tickets, go see the bros play.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure they'll sign it for you.
So-
and little keepsake.
That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of stuff the last month.
It's been pretty busy.
So are we kind of back to normal now around here? How are you feeling right now?
I feel good. I like the busy.
No, it was,
'cause-
and Jeff was gone.
Oh, and then Jeff was
So
gone.
you were out there making pedals.
I was soldering.
I was out there helping out,
Yeah, you were
Chet-
folding boxes.
folding boxes
I gotta
and
open my
putting
drink.
backs on. You want to do it right now?
I got to.
Oh,
You can open yours later if you want. I just
yeah.
need
I'm
it.
not ready yet. I've got a Liquid Death here.
Oh, man, wait.
Mango chainsaw.
Trying to get that sponsorship.
I'm
they have so
trying,
many
man.
cool like
They
neon
do.
signs and stuff in their
I want
merch
everything,
store.
man. Send us everything. Somebody's gonna have to give us the hookup for those guys.
Yeah,
it's got to happen.
If it happens for John at Peach, maybe it'll happen for us.
It'll happen for us. Yes. So things are kind of getting back to normal.
Yeah.
But now we have to start working on NAMM stuff.
Yeah,
It seems really early to talk about NAMM,
but it's not.
but it's
September.
not at all. It's September. We got to get going because we're going to do NAMM.
Yes.
We're going to have a full booth, and we're shooting for having some brand new pedals to launch at NAMM.
We hope.
We hope.
But I think I've been breadboarding
Uh-huh.
and showing the guys some of the stuff that I've come up with.
Yeah.
So hopefully one thing seems pretty much
I think that
there.
one's locked in. Yeah. We had a good sesh
Yes.
yesterday. And I think we got really far with it.
And then we may be getting kind of far with some other stuff, but I might be reaching out to some other fellow pedal designers who are very gifted in the design aspect of the thing, and hopefully they can help get some stuff ready for the show. Because I don't like taking prototypes. I did it at last NAMM. I took the
Yeah.
chorus,
Yeah.
the Fates prototype, and it was, it was fun. I just wanted to get people's ears on it because this is something so outside my wheelhouse
Yeah.
as far as like making. But for this upcoming NAMM, I feel like if they're not exactly ready, I won't show them because we have a lot of stuff, and there's still a lot of people that haven't played our lineup yet.
Yeah, we
so.
came out. I mean, we have the Hephaestus and the Luxury Drive and the Fates this year.
Yeah,
It's a lot of neat stuff for people to try if they haven't been by in a while.
yeah,
So.
for sure. But what's our topic today?
Okay,
Matthew?
so that was a nice catch up.
yeah,
We had a lot of stuff to catch up. So I put the APB out on our Instagram asking for topics. Just wanted to hear from y'all on what you guys wanted us to talk about, and we got a great question. Forgot to write down who it was from.
But thank you, person.
Thank you, person. If you're watching, I hope you are. They asked, how do guitar players develop their own sound?
Yeah.
Now, that's a meaty topic. Because
beef or chicken? Do you think?
Pork.
Pork. Okay.
Yeah. I want beef, chicken, and pork.
Just
give me the smorgasbord.
If it's got legs, you want it chopped up on a plate. It's like the gecko.
Yes.
Whatever. Sorry.
That's give me like the what was that, the speak and say, the farmer one where you pull it. I want every single one of those things on my plate. That's what I want. So I think, and I'm going to just throw this out there, I think it's probably the ultimate goal of every guitar player to develop their own unique sound.
You hope.
Isn't that kind of the point of the whole endeavor?
No.
Is to kind of, you don't think so?
Well, maybe.
Do you think enough people, is that a thing that you think most guitar players are trying for, or it's an accident, or like what do you think about that? Like, do you think it's an intentional thing for most guitarists to try for that, or is it just kind of things that it happens to people, or it doesn't happen to people? What do you think?
I think there's probably there's got to be a divide of people that just want to play guitar.
Yes.
They just want to play and have fun and play songs. Yeah. And they don't ever consider their own,
like, crafting their own unique sound.
Yeah.
So they're content. Obviously, today you and I are drooling over the Mike McCready Stratocaster that came out today from Fender.
Which I'm unsure why I want it.
I'm a much bigger Pearl Jam fan than you are. I don't think you are a Pearl Jam fan at all.
I'm not a Pearl Jam fan.
I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan.
I don't like his guitar playing.
Yeah.
Sorry, internet. But I think it's a wicked looking Strat.
There you go. I mean, it's a relic 1960 Stratocaster, which is very cool.
How do you go wrong?
But
with rosewood, it's got a rosewood board.
That's very cool, which is not something that happens on the import Fenders.
And why is that? That's something we're like excited about now. Like, oh man, they've got rosewood now.
I mean, it's becoming rare in the import game.
That's
to have real rosewood. So, point being is that, like, if you love Yellow Ledbetter and you want to play like Mike McCready, you can get that guitar and you could, you're on your way. And so there's a lot of players that's their lane.
Yeah.
And they're happy with that, right? So you don't think, so what percentage of players do you think about? Like, when did you start thinking about it yourself? Like, I'd like to craft a unique tone for myself. Or have you ever even thought that in your head?
I don't know. Because I think for the first half of my guitar playing life, so I've been playing since I was 15, so like 23 years or some odd years, 24 years. For probably like the first 10 years was just trying to figure out how to play.
Yeah. Still working on that over here.
I mean, so am I. It's a never-ending journey. But I think after I got competent and comfortable with that, then I started experimenting with what made me me. And I think a lot of that came from just actually practicing and trying to figure out what I liked playing. Because for me, it wasn't, and this is something we can get into, I don't think your guitar playing sound.
That's air quotes for all you listening at home. That's fine.
Quote unquote sound is all about, I think your gear has the smallest factor of importance.
Agreed.
In your sound, quote unquote. But anyway, I think for me that, like, after I really dove into really learning how I approached picking and what scales I liked and modes and all the things that I now use all the time, I was just kind of floating in this like sea of anonymity.
And the floating in sea is like just learning the songs that you wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Playing those in gigs, maybe writing some originals here and there.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, but was it an epiphany in a way where you're like, I want to start focusing on that, or did it just kind of shift, your guitar playing just shift in that way?
I think I didn't even notice it until I started hanging around more people that were actually musicians, and they said, "Oh, I can tell when you're playing at a guitar store, or I always know it's you."
Yes.
And And that could probably be said about a lot of people. Like I could tell your guitar playing.
Yes. And is that because I have a unique sound, or is because you are stuck in an office next to mine and you have to listen to me on every break,
Unberated,
wailing on my California tweed?
I think it's like you have your own approach.
Yes.
Because I think like we take this term sound, quote unquote, again.
And that's not what we're talking about.
Not really.
We're talking about technique.
Yeah. I think so, but we could get into it. But I don't know.
No, I mean that's why I like the topic a lot, because there is that idea that, like, you know, you could say, and I think there's a thesis there where no matter what, every guitar player is going to end up coming up with their own unique sound, unless they're really, really, really purposely trying to learn and mimic another player is sound. Because I just feel like that there's, over the years, and of course I've got all this written down and we're just going to jump around like crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just enough osmosis from listening to as many guitar players as you do, and learning as much stuff as you can, that amalgamation is did I say that correct? Is that a word?
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
Amalgamation is a word.
Right.
Yeah.
I pronounce everything wrong, so I'm trying to make sure that it's always going to be unique to you, that you will create something that is different,
right,
that way, unless you're like, I like this player so much that I'm going to just really tone it in and hone it in.
I think there's three approaches.
Okay.
Either
okay.
you're just playing guitar to have fun.
Yes.
Which is,
well, it should be everything.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully.
But like there's no end goal. It's just other than the enjoyment of guitar, which is amazing.
Yes.
And I kind of envy that in a way. There's
no existential crisis about
right,
why you're doing it. You're just riffing,
having
bro.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
There is pure idolation or I want to say mimicry, but that's not kind enough. Like people who are so enamored by a certain player that is who they want to be.
Yes.
Like all the people who are so obsessed with John Mayer or Jimi Hendrix or David Gilmour, and like that is how they play.
Yes,
which is cool. Or the people who are trying to carve their own path, and I think a lot of those people might not even be conscious of that. I think that could probably be split into another group.
And I think that's sort of that. You're right. There is the idea that it just happened for people.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are sitting down and saying, like the person who asked this question clearly has been thinking about it.
Yeah.
So they're in that conscious group where they're saying, I'm going to try to. So I guess what we're going to end up hitting here when we're talking about this is all the things that people do, not consciously, but you are developing your own sound by doing these things. And then what you can do if you're like, I want to try to do that. What are some of the techniques that I could try to do? And that's maybe very esoteric to try to think about that. But we can go down the list and see where that kind of ends up.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I think the first thing I want to talk about is like let's kind of go down to that rabbit hole a little bit about like if you're going to be the kind of player that's going to just go for somebody's sound, right? So for us, I think the easiest example would be Billy Gibbons for you, and James Hetfield for me,
sure,
right? Whereas like how do you like learn from that person without becoming a player who's just doing Billy?
Without becoming like parody or something.
Because I think that people would listen to you and hear the Billy, and people know you as a Billy guy, and it's a big part of what we do here at Mythos with the Chupacabra and a lot of things, and so you see the guys out there that are doing the Billy thing, and for me, a lot of where I started was the James stuff, and trying not to go down that full bore, and I never have.
Yeah.
So like, was that a conscious thing that you did, where you're like, I don't want to just like go down that road and just be a Billy guy?
No, I did want to go down that road.
So okay, good.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
So like when after let's see, I guess it was about 2009 or 10. I had no girlfriend. I had nothing to do.
Nice.
I was in Sparta, Tennessee.
Just sitting at home playing Borderlands.
I was playing Skyrim.
Okay, Skyrim.
Whenever that came out.
Yeah.
But like I was playing Bethesda games. Hope that's Jeff.
Jeff.
if you heard the dog. I was playing Bethesda games and playing guitar. And so I just really, I would go get every Premier Guitar, Guitar World,
Mm-hmm.
every guitar magazine that had Billy Gibbons riffs or lessons.
Yeah,
And I had a huge, and I still have somewhere, just boxes of guitar magazines.
All Billy.
With just lessons.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just all those guitar mags. Because I would get them.
Yeah.
And so I would just learn all that stuff and then learn all the songs.
Yeah.
And learn them in not I'm going to learn this song, but I'm going to play this like Billy played it.
Yeah.
Like that, because they're two entirely different things. Like you can learn
Yes.
Jesus Just Left Chicago.
Yeah, there's learning the notes.
Right.
And then learning how Billy played them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was what I did. You know, I've never put sevens on a guitar, but I'd do eights.
Yeah.
And I'd use a peso.
I was gonna say I did
And-
when I got in my heavy Billy phase, I just used a quarter.
Right. A quarter pick or like,
A quarter pick. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
used a quarter as a pick. Yeah.
oh, you just do a normal round quarter?
Yes.
With the sides is like
Yes,
scratching?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just did it for a while. It was fun.
Right. I mean, like,
Yeah.
like the Brian May uses what, a sixpence or whatever,
Yeah.
and the round pick thing is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But I did all that
Mhm.
and just practiced and just sat there, and I'm sure drove every neighbor crazy,
Mhm.
like trying to get everything from like Brown Sugar, all like the first couple albums.
Yeah.
So that I mean,
It-
and that I'd been doing that for a long time, like trying to learn those things, but I never like really tried to learn them like Billy played them.
And so what was your end goal there? You just needed a project
Yeah.
to improve your guitar playing? You said, if I can play like Billy, then my guitar playing will improve?
No, I was like, this is something I want to do,
Uh-huh.
and but you know me, and I think anyone that really knows me knows that when I get my mind set to something,
Mhm.
there's nothing really, unless it's something so fantastic or outlandish that there's definitely some sort of barrier.
Yeah.
Like if I want to do something, anything,
Yeah.
I just do it, and I'm super encouraging of that. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to wind pickups, and so I bought like
You did. You bought a pickup
small
winder.
pickup factory's worth of material.
Yes. Yes.
And like I wanted to make a proton pack, and so I did all that. And I want to like 3D print props, and so my poor wife will come downstairs and go, "What's that smell?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm filling in layer lines with Bondo." And she's like, "Do that outside." Like fiberglass just in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, to me, I hardly ever do things with the goal, and I think it's a good way to be. But I mean, of course, I would. I never do anything with the goal of having there's never a finish line necessarily. It's just I'm there for the journey and the education that thing affords me.
I think for guitar playing especially, I mean, there's no destination because this is our life.
Right.
And anybody that plays guitar, my goal every time I pick up the guitar is to play the best I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. I want to be able to say I played the best I've ever played today. It does not happen every day.
That's a lot of pressure.
It doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
But when it does, my wife comes home, I'm like, guess what? I am the greatest guitar player who has ever lived. And and just having that, all I need is that happens, once a quarter.
Right, sure.
And then I'm like, this is why I play. Because you have those moments.
Yeah.
So, did you have a moment where you're like, good, I'm good with Billy? Or has it just been this whole time that you've been there? Because I don't think that I would say your guitar playing is just a copy of Billy.
No.
So that's kind of where we're at here, is that you can go down that road and you can say, I'm going to do this. And then you could start a ZZ Top cover band.
Right.
And you could make your money and you could grow the beard and you would be really cool. It would be really fun.
Right.
But that's not what you ended up doing.
No. And I've done this
yeah.
with a lot of different artists.
See, that's the entire point here,
Yeah.
right? Is that that's where I get into the thesis that we're all unique because we're at some point in our lives doing it with enough artists that nobody's gonna have the same list.
Yeah. No.
And then if you don't have, as long as you don't have the same list, I mean, even if you did, there's gonna be something about the way you play, and we'll get to that because that's topic number 3.
Wow.
But that could sort of affect how that works.
Yeah.
So what were the other artists where you said that maybe not as intense as Billy, but maybe they
Right.
were as intense as Billy?
I mean, I went through moments where I learned as much as I could learn of Minus the Bear.
Yes.
With all
Yeah,
tapping,
yeah.
and so I'd had like a tremolo set up, and I would be tapping,
Yeah.
and I had I might have had 2 loopers, you know, like Dave Knutson uses. And so I learned all that stuff that I could learn, cause it's hard. Like if you've not spent much time with Midas the Bear, his guitar playing is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I learned all that, and I did a David Gilmour thing.
Yes.
I did. For like a year, I just tried to learn country licks. I had a
Well, but that's a really big part of this, I think, is that like if you pick your favorite players, right? We went over our top 5 guitar players. If you haven't watched that one, you should go back and watch it. But so I obviously learned so much Metallica, and then I learned like Queens of the Stone Age, Jack White, and then but also like. What you want is you want to throw in some people there or some styles that maybe aren't 100%. Like I went through a huge like BB King phase where I was like, and you might not hear it, but there's some stuff that I do that I definitely stole from listening to a ton of BB King.
Sure.
And I don't listen to a ton of BB King, but like there was something about it at the time where I really wanted to learn how to just play like that and just play like a little bit like, can I jam with people? Can I just, listen to some records and then come along? And like, that's where it starts getting interesting. And so you went with country for that. And you're like, was there a specific, any artists or anything? Or you just like, I want to play, like learn how to play country music?
No, Greg Koch does a lot of country stuff. But I learned a bunch of Brad Paisley tunes. Okay, there you go. Because if you're gonna pick a modern country guitar player who's really good, he's really good.
Yes.
like or hate the lyrics and stuff. If you just listen to his guitar playing, it's kind of outlandish. And so that to me, you just have to be excited about. If you're trying to carve your own path, I think you have to be excited about just music.
Yes.
And you can't kind of have any sort of barriers. I don't like this because like any given day you'll catch me listening to any sorts of thing, any style of music. And same with you and Jeff, we just like music.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole idea is you have to steal from everybody.
Oh yeah.
And if you steal from everybody, you'll eventually come up with something unique. And that always is the goal, and trying to go with stuff that's not as super obvious too.
Yeah.
I remember my dad telling me that sometimes what he would like to do is put on like the hip hop station and play rhythm guitar to it because the rhythms and the flow of all that is so different than most of what he normally listens to. But there you can come up with some really interesting rhythm techniques just by stepping outside your box a little bit. And like hip hop's a great like thing to listen to when you want to figure out some really neat rhythm chops and really neat phrasing. Yeah. That might not be as super obvious to people if you're just listening to a lot of classic rock, but you can hear that with a lot of modern guitar playing because a lot of it has really, sort of programmed beats and electronica and that kind of stuff.
It's not swung as much, it's very straight beats and emphasis can be in an interesting place, which is good. And I think that's really fun to learn those sort of things too, like just just improvising over top of it to see what you can come up with. And chances are, guess what? It's probably going to suck, but you should do it.
Well, and then part of the reason why it should suck is that, but you never know what is going to like click, and then you could steal that little piece and then like put it inside of your guitar playing. So then when you're doing your thing and then it kind of comes out, it's like, oh, that's something that maybe no one else has done that before, or however that works.
Yeah, I think we grew up in a time that was like we had a little different pathway to finding ourselves as guitarists and musicians. And it, for me, it was magazines and then Tab. Yep. For your dad, it was records.
Yeah, slowing down learning Pat Travers and stuff like that. And Robin Trower. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, and I would take all those magazines that I had and make copies and put them in in a 3-ring binder. Like, here's the lessons I want to learn, and there's all isolated.
And maybe people still do this, but one of the fun things you could do was that if you got a Guitar World, they would have 4 or 5 songs transcribed, and sometimes it was something that you would never have ever learned. Right. Yeah. But where is all your access to learning songs back then? Right. Even pre-internet, before you could look up tabs. Yeah. So there was a way to I guess I'm learning, Smoking in the Boys' Room this month, which is totally cool, right? Yeah. And then, okay, I just meant you could get a little. You could spread your wings a little bit.
You get a little CC DeVille in you.
Yeah,
It's not so bad.
Well, there's a lot of people that have regretted that. So, okay. Hope he's listening. So that's what we're talking about technique wise, right? Is there any other like maybe like hidden, like style or technique that you've learned that maybe people would be surprised of?
For me?
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I took guitar lessons for a long time when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and so my guitar teacher was very adamant about learning like anything
Yeah.
and everything,
like classical stuff too?
Well,
Because some people start kind of at there.
Yeah.
Like they start in a classical sense too.
Yeah, Randy Googe, my guitar
Randy
teacher.
Googe, great name.
Great guy, incredible guitarist. He could like sight read classical pieces,
Wow.
which is bananas. I physically can't play that stuff.
Yeah.
And so he never bothered. He was like, well, we're going to learn harp harmonics, like I was talking about yesterday.
Yes.
And those sort of things. But I think the things that I try to do to find what it is that I would define as my style is usually stuff that exists outside of guitar. Actually, over the past weekend, I was driving around with Graham in the car, and we were just running in town, and I found some MP3s of old music that I had recorded that was all instrumental stuff, and most of it is just like piano
Okay.
and drums and like really simple things. But they're just little melody ideas. They're usually just like a minute and a half. And it was pretty cool to go back and hear like, oh, like this is when I was in this phase.
Oh,
and,
sure.
And like, but I can see even now like where how I ended up here through listening to that. I think one of the best things you can do is to get a loop pedal
Yeah.
and just play over yourself and see where you go.
I play with myself very well.
It's a frequent thing I enjoy.
You set me up for that one. That was too easy. I apologize, everybody. That was some serious low-hanging fruit. I think I need something to drink.
You should have heard what we were talking about before we started.
Are we going to cut all
recording.
that?
Oh yeah,
That's for the Patreon that we keep talking about.
yeah.
Yeah,
If we
one
should
day.
if we should have a Patreon, put it in the comments section.
All right, let's do this real quick. That was wow. Kabow. Kabow. Wow. It's already getting real sweaty in here. Liquid Death Mango Chainsaw. Terrific.
Bring it over to the middle.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
There you go.
Show it off a little bit here. Can you see the thing? It's supposed to do the thing.
It's focused on our faces.
Oh my gosh. Nobody needs to be looking at my face. All right.
It's one of those kind
Okay.
of cameras.
So we've talked a lot about technique here, and you kind of have said a few times in this conversation that is the crux
Yeah.
of the sound, because you give you a Squire to crate, you'll sound like Zach, right?
Well, yeah.
As best as you can.
A version of Zach.
That's
yeah.
always my go-to. Give them a Squire to crate, see
Man.
how they do.
The Squire in a crate. I remember going to.
That's my GC rig, bro.
I remember going to friends' houses, and if they had like 100-watt amp, it was always a crate.
Yeah.
And they would have like a Squire standard.
Yeah, dude.
Not like an Affinity. I mean, back in the
Yeah.
early 2000s, late 90s, if you had just like a standard Squire Strat, like that, I always thought they were pretty nice.
Yeah.
And man,
Squire to crate.
especially if you had a humbucker in the bridge, you have that foot switch with the red and the green LED,
You got the Squire, the crate, Metal Zone.
or a grunge, DoD grunge.
That was it.
Man.
So,
Anyway,
gear, right? Ugh.
yeah,
I think Squire to Crate should be the title of some instrumental guitar player's album.
Squire in a crate.
Squire in a crate. That's good too. So what about gear? Right?
Yeah.
So even if you think that technique has most to do with crafting your signature sound, there's something gear related there, right?
Oh, yeah,
And we're
yeah.
trying to sell gear to people, so
Yeah.
let's pretend it matters.
It totally matters.
I know. I'm just saying. Okay. So if you say, like, if you were a person that's like searching for your own sound,
Yeah.
but everybody plays all the same shit and it all sounds great,
Yeah.
right? How where are the nuances that you can explore within your gear to craft your own sound?
Man, within gear you already have.
No, anything.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Gear you have, all the Mythos pedals that you need to buy.
That's right.
To craft your own signature sound.
I think
Or do you truly think it doesn't matter?
No, I think it totally matters.
Okay.
I think it begins and ends with how you play, but I think one of the things you have to do as guitar players, and this is something that I've talked about forever, you just
Okay.
have to go play more stuff.
Do you think people don't play enough stuff?
Yes, because I think we get in our head that I I think most people would assume I only play Les Pauls or something, even
Yeah.
though there's like not a Les Paul,
In the office
room.
right now.
Yeah.
No.
But a lot of people say I only play Strats. One time we were having a little get together over at our apartment, and one of Morgan's coworkers was like, "You have all these Gibsons. Where's your Fenders? Like you don't play Fenders?" It's like, no. Like, why not? It's like, because I've been playing guitar for 20 years and I just don't really like them.
There you go.
And he was like blown away by that.
Like you're supposed to have a Strat too?
Gotta have a Strat.
Or a Telecaster.
Right. And
Yeah.
like to me, it's like it doesn't like I like them fine, but they're
Yeah,
not my
yeah.
guitar. And so I think you have to go on that journey of knowing
Yeah.
this is what you like, and you have to be brave enough to be able to try stuff that you just try everything.
Well, I think
literally try everything.
that's a really good point. And I feel like for me, I have finally, and I think spending the last year with you here at the shop has really, really helped me figure that out, because
Yeah.
you're very open to just like what is actually going to work for people based on how they play. Mm-hmm. So you should charge like the Zach Broyles like tone service where you listen to people and then recommend things.
Yeah.
Hey, there's some money. Somebody write that down.
Mjolnir. You need a Mjolnir.
Yeah. No, they pay you for the service. We make money no matter what they buy. But point is that, for me, I think I would always be, especially in the internet era, you hear something and you see something and you get the idea in your head that that's going to be good for you.
Yeah.
And you just don't know until you play it.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds funny, but like it is, we can get caught in a cycle where you're either burning through gear because you're only buying stuff before you try it. You're just buying things, or you're kind of stuck with stuff because you're like, oh, I thought it was a good idea and I got it. And now it's like, I don't want to have to move it. I'm just going to deal with playing this.
Right.
And I finally feel like that I'm in a point where, I've tried enough stuff and I've been trying way more stuff since we've been, hanging out a lot, to where I finally found the things that really work for me. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of a lot different than what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought I needed.
Yeah. You still need a Mark 7.
Oh my God. You're never going to give that up, are
No,
you?
until I
we
get
can
one.
get one for the week. We got plenty of room back here.
Gotta stack it on the Soldana.
But the point being is that there's just no way to know until you hear how it sounds under your own fingers.
Yeah, and
that's truly what it is.
And one thing I do a lot. I have a huge imagination, and I daydream and all the things that.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. That's one thing that I think either people have or don't have. Like you either have an imagination or you don't.
Yeah.
But for me, I can picture what I want my sound to be in my head.
You can picture the sound?
Well, I can hear the sound, rather. I don't picture
I was like,
it.
that's sick, bro.
I don't visualize
You
the
have
sound.
to draw that out if you're looking at
It's
it.
this kind of wave. But no, I can hear what I want myself to sound like.
Yes.
And I think that you kind of have to do that in addition to everything else.
Well, I think that you're a pedal builder because you can do that.
Well, yeah, I guess
and that
so.
because that helps, because then you can have a goal for what sounds good, right? Because I can't do that, right? What I need to keep playing stuff and go like, oh, there it is, right there,
Right.
And there's a difference between being able to do that and being like, I hear a sound and I'm going to keep poking at this thing until I get there.
Yeah.
I just need to play as much stuff as possible until I finally hear it and I go, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in and you're really helpful, because you can say, oh, because of your pick attack, you need the soft clipping and you need, instead of this, and you need this and this. And I think you like all of those things. That it's kind of unless it's a hard thing to self-diagnose.
Yeah.
Unless you have that in your head. And so it's tough because there's so many cool things out there.
Yeah.
And you just get stuck with these ideas, all these things. And people probably do with our stuff. They go oh, look how sick all this stuff is.
Man, it's so sick.
It's so sick. And then, but you do a good job of even addressing that in your why I made these videos, talking about what this pedal could work for and what it might not work for.
Right.
And understanding that. And
Well,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably go into buying gear with the intention of I'm going to make this my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very hard, especially when we live in a world where we're buying things sometimes based off the popularity of it, and other people, you like, oh, so and so has this, I should have this, because it'll help me get my sound, and that's not always true. But you just kind of, I think the way you develop your own sound is to really think about what you want your sound to be. Do you want, like Rhett? Rhett plays so wet, so much reverb.
So
wet Rhett.
Just please make that a T-shirt,
man.
I would buy it in a second.
I know he's not listening to this.
Wet Rhett.
Wet Rhett.
He listens to the show.
No way.
Hi, Rhett.
But he likes a lot of reverb and delay, and like I like just a kiss of
Just a
of
touch.
wetness.
Just a touch.
I just want to kiss the wetness.
Just spit on it for a second.
And so, like, I memean, but that is a huge
difference
in how I approach crafting sounds. Like, is that's for a lot of people, that is their starting point.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to have reverb. I got to have. Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Which I challenge most people to play without reverb anyway. But I think you kind of have to take the bare minimum of whatever you want your sound to be. Like you say, you want a kind of lush reverb sound with a mid-forward overdrive and a single coil kind of guitar. Like, cool, do that. Now try to make it not be Stevie Ray Vaughan or John Mayer or whatever. How do you take that thing and make it your own? And I think that is the path that everyone kind of has to go down, because we always we don't always start, but we're everything is influenced by the biases we've already had, which is just like we talked about, coming from the music we enjoy and the experiences we've had.
Yeah.
But I think you have to start there, and then you start adding things to it, and you kind of have to start looking away from all your inspiration. Like if you really like John Mayer, and you like those sort of big glassy clean things with the mid-forward drive, maybe don't add an envelope filter, because that might just take you down to playing just some of that John Mayer-y stuff or Grateful Dead sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Unless that's your goal. But if you're just trying to carve your own thing, maybe, see what happens when you add a big muff, or see what happens when you add more delay, or, like incredible compression or something. Just try the opposite of whatever you think is going to work for you.
Well, I think that's a really good point. And then the thing about that would be, like, what is that end goal for that person? Right? Are you frustrated because
it's all got to be up here?
It's
so hard.
And to me, I think that's also another thing, is that, like, if you don't have one, right? Like, if you have a sound that you're looking for, and it's literally just like, well, I love John Mayer, and I want to start there, and then but that's where the goal ends, because you just want to listen to John Mayer and you like that. But there's got to be, like, if you're writing your own tunes and you sound like that, you're going to just write John Mayer tunes.
Well, maybe.
But see, okay, but maybe you won't.
Yeah.
Because you could also look at it like that, is that I like the tones of John Mayer, but then I'm going to write songs like Neil Young.
Right.
And then now you're playing Neil Young songs and your guitar tone sounds like John Mayer.
Right.
I don't know. Does that sound horrible? A little horrible? I just picked two artists. I just did. But point being is that, like, so there's a lot of different ways to sort of craft that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the way I like to think about it for myself is that I have so much James Hetfield in my playing, but I don't play like straight metal like that at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really the kind of songs I want to write. But I like the picking technique and some of the ways that he sort of approaches the riff writing, but not doing it in a way that's just, I'm playing like straight Metallica style stuff, I think is really fun. And you can hear it come out in my playing, but it's not necessarily like that sounds like a Metallica song.
Right.
At least I try to. When it does, I try to go, okay, that's too close. I want to, like, maybe I can add a different effect or change the tone a little bit to or steal a lick from Jack White or Josh Homme or even, Mark Knopfler.
Right.
Throw something else in there, just a technique to kind of change things up, and then steer away from it and see if I can find something that sounds original for me.
Sure. One of the things I was going to say is one of the ways I like to write riffs, and I think this is a good practice for a lot of people, is just on an acoustic guitar. Because, I mean, that's or a guitar unplugged.
Yeah.
Because then it's only you, and the strings and the sound of
a good
the
point.
notes themselves. Because the moment you start adding effects and stuff, it can take you down a path that maybe you weren't intending on going. Whereas I think it's a little more valuable to write the riff or get the idea out and get it, make a video or a sound voice memo or whatever, and just listen to it as the raw idea. Because then you can kind of say, oh, that would really work with this sort of approach or this sound. And you can kind of carve your way to what is really you, because a lot of the riffs and the songs I've written, and most of the songs that I write are really like that. You guys have never even heard a lot of the songs I've written. They're mostly just simple singer-songwriter stuff. And they have riffs. And some of them are kind of actually difficult to play, but they all started on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Almost everything I've ever written that was of value, and it's like, oh, I'm actually proud of that, was written on an acoustic.
There you go.
So,
and you'll probably write, and think about more of the melodies and like the construction, because you're not overpowering it with, guitar tonage.
If I hold this note with this much reverb, then man, that sounds cool. And that's
it
not
is,
a
but
riff.
that's not a song.
Yeah, it's not a song.
That's not a song.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the last part of it that I want to talk a little about, because I think this is something that's, it's a big deal for you, and it's a big deal for a lot of players, is physical style.
Physical
style. And how that.
Ooh.
Let's get physical.
Oh, dang.
Ooh.
Man.
You can't move your wrist.
No.
Not at all. I mean, a little bit.
I can't.
But you mentioned there's a certain technique that you're gonna play because you can't move your wrist a certain way, right? Like it's like, there you go. That says it all, folks.
Man, I look dumb.
No,
I've met so many people that go, "Why are you acting like that?"
Can you please not do that?
It's so embarrassing when I'm at a store and I have to get change and I have something in my right hand. I'm like,
please.
Is this guy making fun of me? Like, no, I just have a dumb hand.
I have a dumb hand. That's the name of your solo album.
my dumb hand.
Dumb hand.
Dumb hand.
But there's people that came up with certain techniques. Tony Iommi, that, and I think that is another interesting part of this. And it's not just physical limitations, but the pure style, right?
Yeah.
That's like if you're a huge, heavy metal riff monster, and then you should sit down and learn how to chicken pick.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not going to suddenly be Chet Atkins.
No.
And maybe you won't ever even write songs like that, but there is a benefit to like learning a new technique that's outside of your wheelhouse, because you never know what that could bring in to your style and playing. I mean, that's super worthwhile.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those old Zakk Wylde videos of him teaching chicken picking?
No.
Are you serious?
Hey, brother.
They're very old.
Does he talk like that still? Or does that kind of happen a little bit later when
he's pretty young, but he has so much gain and like a phaser on, and he's doing
yes.
And he's like, Zakk Wylde is remarkable. Like, he's an incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
But the moment you put any big swirling phaser over top anything with distortion and then you chicken pick, it just sounds really bad.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah, we'll pull it up.
I'm going to watch that. But yeah, so like that's another way to sort of figure is just wholly introduce another style to you and like push yourself by like learning something physically different on how you pick and how you approach everything. It's really big.
One of the things that I do when I'm trying to write riffs, or at least, and sometimes it's not always like writing riffs as far as writing something that I would make a song, like base a song around, but adding more riffs to the toolbox, is I will physically say like, okay, I'm not going to play the G string.
Okay.
Or I'm only going to like this entire, like and again, this is where a looper comes in very, very handy. You can come up with a chord progression and start soloing over it or writing over it. And you say, okay, I'm only going to string skip. So I'm only going to play every other string. And you do that. Do it for like half an hour. And you're going to find stuff that you've never thought of. And chances are you may have never heard. Because when you say like, okay, I'm only gonna take a solo on one string, and you do that, you see even then I don't even look like I'm playing guitar. I usually, whenever I show people like, oh, you play guitar, I do it with my right hand.
Because people will be like, "What are you doing over there?"
Yeah, they're doing that. It's like it looks like I'm playing the cello or something,
the accordion,
or a recorder, or an oboe,
little hot cross buns. Man, wow,
good times.
I remember when I got that recorder for the first time, and first song I learned, Iron Man.
Then I don't know what happened to it. Dad said you must have left it at school, but
exactly.
it never showed
My dad
back
told
up.
me it was in the trash. Thanks, Pops. Hand me a guitar. Yeah, alternative tunings is a great one too.
Yeah, I mean that to me is like a rabbit hole in and of itself, because I feel like,
Do you think that's not a good way to go down?
no, personally,
I've had fun with it.
it's fun,
Yeah.
but I don't think unless you really commit to learning how to actualize in a tuning, and this is something we talked about on Dipped in Tone with Ariel Posen.
Oh, okay.
I feel like, see, you didn't listen.
I'm
kidding.
That's the latest episode.
It was like it's 2 weeks ago.
I haven't caught up to the latest episode.
It's fine.
We were very busy.
It's fine.
Okay.
Like I don't feel like until you're completely comfortable at standard tuning,
Yes.
that going to another tuning just for fun, it's totally fun.
Yes.
And there's value in that. But oftentimes those things are not always that easy to transpose back into standard tuning. So whatever, like all the things I've ever learned in like dad gad or dad F sharp fad, that those tunings, they just live on that, in that tuning.
So you just have to go back over there.
Yeah, and it's like, well,
Yeah, I mean, but it is a way to maybe find your sound if that's where you end up having a lot of inspiration,
right?
And suddenly the riffs and the vibes and the songs start sprouting out where they didn't before, because that's a gateway into something that you didn't know that you needed.
Sure, and learn after you've spent time like getting the fundamentals of playing guitar, in that how to fret properly, how to pick, how to bend, how to training your ear. You can do all that stuff too. Guys like, I think Tom Quayle, his B string is tuned different so that the intervals are like all the same. And I think that's him. Answer in the comments if I'm mistaking him with someone else. But because of that, he has a very distinct style. But that's how he tunes everything.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I mean, Joey plays in open tunings, usually C, all the time.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was a path to self-discovery with that.
Yeah, he didn't always do that.
But then he found it.
Yeah, because I remember they used to have some songs in standard and then open E, and then there's just all open E, and then it's all open C.
Yeah.
And he's had to learn everything in those other, in every tuning.
Yes.
So that it works. But when you get that, I mean, and that's a huge thing that we can all like try. It's free to retune your guitar, so why not try it? It may play like shit, but all you have to do is
Yeah, and it's fun. I've written some of my favorite riffs just doing like open D. And just had some fun with it, and like, oh, it's just stuff that you would never come out. But then if you're gonna like actually play, and then you gotta, I know it's so exciting.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just tired of
just,
Starfield, man.
Yeah, gosh, we gotta have Starfield week.
You know what I do on the way to work?
You think about Starfield?
Yeah, but I will find YouTube videos. I'll lay my phone down, screen down, but I'll just find YouTube videos with tips and tricks, and I'll just have it playing through the stereo in the car.
I mean, you do know that I listen to Destiny lore videos on my ride,
I know.
right? Because I need to know deep dives into the story of the game.
With
Bife.
With Bifife.
Yes,
and,
it's my name is
Cracks
Bife.
and all the
like my guy.
all the different characters, like Blade 6 and all those guys.
Come on, you can't make fun of me.
No, I'm not.
You play Destiny and you're Captain Nerdo over here.
I know. I'm the same.
Yes, but what I was saying is you do.
Nerdo.
That's what I said, Captain Nerdo. If you do alternative tunings and then you write songs in that and you have standard tuning, then congratulations, there's another guitar you have to bring to the gig.
Why not?
You guys, the more guitars is gooder.
Or you get a Line 6 Variax and you just go click, 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 click.
Dude,
Man,
those things are cool.
you know what's funny is
Everything.
well, maybe we could wrap it up.
We're
with this.
getting close. Yeah.
One time I went to a gig, and it was somewhere in Nashville. I don't remember. This was years ago, like right after I moved to town, and was there with some friends, and the guy walked out on stage with the Variax, what the smooth ones.
I would just applause. Just
Well,
a
and I
round
was
of
like,
applause.
Huh? Those usually sound really bad, and,
Uh-huh.
at least that's what I thought. And he started playing,
Sound good?
and it sounded awesome. And he like switched between like a Strat and a Tele sound, and I was like,
Cool.
I'm stupid because I had this thought of, oh, this is, brr. But in the hand, this guy was awesome.
Yeah.
So
good
in the
play.
hands of someone who knows how to make anything work, it's like, I don't know. To me, like those sort of things are so informative, even to this, because it all goes to show that I think it just comes down to how you play.
Yes.
And that as cool as gear is, I mean, obviously I love it. Look, there's another amp in between where there's normally nothing. There's just so much stuff. Like it's incredible.
Yes.
It's fun.
It's our lives.
It's obsessive, like thinking about gear, but you just gotta
Excuse me.
you just gotta play.
Well, that is sort of where I finally got to. I feel like I'm there where I've been playing way, way more than I ever have. Maybe since I was, a lonely bachelor in my apartment in Seattle.
Yeah.
Maybe in the last 15 years. And part of the reason why is because I'm not thinking about my tone very much. Because I'm finally like just playing because I'm happy with everything because it sounds like me. And now I just play.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a really great place to be because as much as I want to buy everything and get everything because buying shit is cool and it makes me feel good.
Oh man, endorphins.
Endorphins. What you really want is you want to like be so locked in with your tone that you just aren't thinking about. You're not thinking about, oh, I need to, boost my mids or only if I have this trem or this. You just want to just have the riffs flowing out of you. That's it. That's the goal. And that's where you find, if you're finding your own sound, I feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
And it feels really fucking good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things that you can do as a player is look at how much time you spend maybe sitting in the floor or bent over a pedal board turning knobs.
Yeah.
And if you took that and cut it in half
Yes.
and just played, you're going to be happier.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was the one thing that ate up so much of my guitar playing time was just dicking around on the floor. And it's unnecessary.
I mean, I do think that there's...
it's not unnecessary.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that is one of the things they enjoy.
Sure.
Putting pedal boards together and tearing apart and trying different stuff. But what we're talking about here is people that are sort of somewhat frustrated maybe with their guitar playing. Are we not on?
No, we are.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize I had this switch on that makes it quieter than it's supposed to be, but that's okay. We'll fix it in post. It's fine.
Oh my God. It'll be fine. We're doing great. But what I was going to say is that like, this is more for people that are frustrated with that.
Yeah.
And then maybe what they're frustrated with is they're spending too much time sort of fussing with their stuff, fussing with their amps, fussing with their guitars because they're not there and they're trying to find that. And hopefully out of all the garbage we spewed today, there's something that we said that you could say like, oh, okay, yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to try that. And that might help me get there.
So if we're going to make a bullet point
which I kind of did
of what people should do for finding their own sound.
Okay.
How can we whittle this down to a couple points?
I'd say number one,
focus on your technique
focus on your technique.
and learn as much as you can in as many styles as you can.
Perfect. Steal from everyone.
Right. It's all free. Well,
There you go.
kind of.
Yes, it's all free. Pay for lessons and courses from all our friends.
Yeah, do that.
Do that. Number two, play as much gear as possible.
Try as many things.
Try as many things as
Everything.
possible because you never know what's going to hit right under your fingers and you're going to go, oh shit, that's what I've been trying to hear.
Or
you
it's
never
gonna
know. It's
inspire you.
probably
Yeah.
a tube screamer. But that's another episode.
And then the last thing would be I think the last thing is be conscious in how you play.
What do you mean? Expand on that.
Like I was saying, like I would say I'm only going to play like this.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that helps unlock a lot of innate ability that you might not know you have.
Yeah.
That's uniquely you.
Yes.
So just be very mindful
Yes.
of what you're doing when you're practicing and playing.
Well, I think what that comes down to is like, don't just shred, don't just riff, like have like a goal,
Yes.
like while you're practicing,
Or just the act of being mindful, is just being completely engrossed in what it is you're doing and think about it. And not that there has to be an end goal, but that you're paying attention to what you're doing in every moment, so you can then direct your actions.
Yeah.
So if you're soloing or practicing, say I'm really going to work on this, and you really are mentally thinking about what your fretting hand is doing and your picking hand, so that you can start like honing your way into your own signature thing.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that if you're not obsessing over how it sounds.
Yeah.
I think you can, because if you get to a place where things sound, you're not thinking about it that way, because I think that's part of was my problem and it's probably a problem for a lot of people, is that if they're obsessing over what it sounds like and what it doesn't sound like, and they're not really ever going to be thinking about those things while they're playing.
Yeah.
You're just going to be thinking about all those other stuff.
Just ripping riffs.
Hone and tone, baby. Hone and tone.
So,
all right, man.
Are we gonna do a little?
Yeah.
What are you buying?
What are you selling? All right, we're slanging right now, boy.
Well,
you got something for sale. I got some stuff for sale. I actually sold a lot of stuff recently.
You have.
I sold a bunch of pedals on the reverbs.
I did too.
You did too. We kind of, and yeah, selling pedals. But we both have. You got a guitar for sale.
I do. I'm selling my Firebird, my 65 non-reverse. I'll make you a smoking deal. I just don't want to ship it. So
there you go. And I am selling my Novo Voltor. That's on Reverb right now. So same thing. Hit me up if you're interested. It's a badass guitar.
Yeah. We both have too much stuff.
Yes.
And there's too many other things that we need.
And, to tie it in with the show, I think it's about tonal discoveries. And I found out a lot about my guitar playing and what I like. And, just trying to hone in on that. And I think for part of what you were saying earlier about that, about like, well, I don't have any Fenders. That's kind of where my brain's at now, where I'm like, I really only want to play like one guitar.
Yeah.
And I think that like there is tonal variety on and that's great. But I think I kind of just don't want to think about that very much right now. And I want to hone in on a sound that I really like and then concentrate on my playing and not like, well, let me see what a Telly Bridge would sound like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's sort of where my head's at. And that's why I really like. I just play my PRS special all day. That's really it.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's important to like, just it's okay to buy what you like and play what you like.
It really is.
It's
and
really
it better be Mythos.
Well, I think if you're listening to the podcast,
yes,
and you want to support the show, why don't you check out the brand new Fates?
Let's go. Yeah.
We're really happy with it.
I am happy.
The feedback has been awesome.
And I want to tie everything into this topic. It's a fun topic. I don't think I'd ever considered a chorus pedal in my life. And there are certain songs that I like from bands that I like to play chorus. It's never been something that I've really thought about adding to my arsenal in a way that I was really, really, really going to it was kind of a stunt thing. I would put it on.
Right.
And I would play like I thought people played choruses. And what I've really liked about this one is that I've been able to play it, and I wanted to integrate it into my sound on how I already play and just give me another dimension to it.
Yeah.
And this pedal is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Which is really great.
Nice and swirly.
Hephaestus, Oracle, and the Fates on together.
Yeah.
Tonal Nirvana. Just have a blast. It's great.
Yeah. The big box Hephaestus too.
I know.
Man.
It's all big boxes for me, baby. Don't. You don't.
Good night, everybody.
That's it. Bye-bye.